Guys, this time we're going to be dealing with your scan of your body and how you can trim it up and get it ready for 3D printing. Alright, so the first thing I want you to do is go over here to the top right corner to your name, click on that drop down list, click on Preferences, and then over here on the left side I want you to click on Preview, which is at the bottom of the list. Make sure that Mesh Workspace has been checked and then click OK. Alright, so if you come up here to your environment, you're going to say, wait, I just enabled Mesh Workspace. Where is it? Well, it's not there yet. There's one more thing you have to do. So come up here to the very top where the component is. See, mine still says unsaved. And right click on that. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you want to click on Do Not Capture Design History. It's going to come up with this little message box for you. Just click Continue. So the reason we want to turn off our design history is because we are going to be dealing with some big files with a lot of data, and it's just going to be too much for Fusion to deal with if it's capturing that design history. So now you'll notice that if we come back up here, we have a mesh environment. So we go to Mesh Environment, we click on Create, Insert Mesh. Now you're going to open up where your thumb drive is and select your scan. Right? You don't need to wait till it necessarily opens there. And it's got a lot to think about, so it's going to pull that in. And there's my model. Now I'm not going to move it, I'm just going to leave it where it is. It's okay. So click OK. Now you can see that there's a lot of extra stuff here, and I'm sure yours has that too. And this one even captured something in the background. I don't know what that is, but we're going to deal with that. Alright, so now that I'm in this environment, I'm going to come over here to Modify, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a plane cut. Alright, so it's going to want to know what body to cut. I'm going to click on this mesh body. Now, see what happens? Let's not worry about that. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to rotate this around, and this is going to take a second. I'm going to go ahead and just type in -90 degrees to get that plane all the way over flat. Now what you're going to see is it's a little bit high for me right now. So I'm going to come over here to the front plane and I'm going to adjust this down. Now it's going to be a little frustrating because it's not going to respond right away. Okay, so I'm going to slide that down. And what I'm looking for is I want to get an appropriate amount of shoulders in this. And you're just going to have to work kind of intuitively here because it's not going to respond to you every time you do it. You'll think about it and it'll come down. So I like that. And what I like about that is I can see this braid that came down here, and I can see that it ends, but I'm not much below the shoulder. So I like that. That looks good. Now over here in my cut, now it's going to probably default to trim, but I believe that yours is probably going to default to no fill in this fill type. We want to go with minimal for that. And what that's going to do is that's going to fill in the bottom of this. So let's go ahead and click OK. Let it think for a minute. Alright, so now you can see that the bottom of my head has been filled in. But you're like, but wait, Mr. Ward, what about that ugliness back there? Well, let's go back and do Modify, and let's do another plane cut. Alright, so we're going to do same body. Alright, but this time let's rotate it around this way. Make it -90. Alright, And now let's push it through this way. And go a little bit further. And you'll notice that it's leaving that head behind. All right. So there's that ugliness. So I'm going to pull it forward till that ugliness is gone. And now it is. And I really don't care about the fill type. I'm just trying to get rid of that. And there we go. Now, I could have tried to select and delete that part, but sometimes that just doesn't always work. All right, so one more thing I want to do before I leave the mesh environment is I just want to make sure that I have a closed mesh. So under Modify, third one down is Make Closed Mesh. I'm going to select my body. I'm going to leave all of this alone here, and I'm just going to click OK. And what that's doing is Fusion's scanning my figure here, looking for any holes in the mesh, and will automatically fill them in. Now you'll notice I have two meshes, but it's mesh 2 that I want to keep. Okay, so we're going to go with that. Just know that you have that second one there. And one more thing to do is Fusion can only deal with this stuff if we reduce the number of faces. And what faces are is if you scan way in here, you can see that you have a lot of little triangles that are making up that mesh. And that's great for detail, but it means a lot of work for Fusion. Now you probably started off somewhere around 0.2, something like that. We're going to go down to right around 0.05, somewhere in that range. Now mine, I've done this a few times, so it was already at that level. If yours isn't, so 0.057 is good. We want to go adaptive because we don't want uniform. We don't want all those triangles to be the same size. We want smaller ones where we want more detail and bigger ones where we want less detail. And density is fine because of the way we're doing this. Now we could do by face count, where we could type in an amount that we wanted, but I'm just going to stay with density. Go 0.057. I've got my preserve boundaries box checked. I need to tell it what I'm reducing, which is mesh body 2, remember from before, and then click OK. Fusion's going to have to think for a little while, and what you see is you didn't really lose a lot of detail, but it definitely simplified the amount of data that Fusion has to think about. All right, so now that I've got that, I'm going to go back up here to change my environment back to model environment. And now if I go to Modify and I scroll down nearly to the bottom to Mesh, I'm going to go Mesh to BREP. Again, it wants to know what body I'm talking about, that body. I want my operation to be a new body, and then click OK. When that's done thinking, what you should get is another new body over here with a little bit of a different symbol on the side here. And now I can either go to this body and right click and save as STL, and I can select it or I can come up here to Make 3D Print, select this body, let it think about it. All right, and I'm not going to import it to Cura. I'm just going to save it, and now it's going to ask me where to save it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hey Guys, and don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. Oh no, there is no comment section, but please like it, even if you can't check the thumbs up button. Thanks, guys.